Good morning, everybody, to Rollup 34 Level 200 training. You may know me. My name is Holger, and I'm accomplished by my colleague Vera.
That's me. Good morning, everyone. Welcome.
Yeah. As always, I'd like to encourage you to ask as many questions as possible. That makes the training really lively, and I think we can all benefit from your questions because the question you have, others might have as well. Beware. You can ask them via just unmute, lift your hand, or just type it in the chat. We will monitor that closely, even though we are answering it maybe at the end. At the end, you also have a chance to this. So, Rollup update 34, level 200 training. On Wednesday, we had the level 100 training. Everyone who wasn't part of this, I encourage you to go back and watch it on YouTube. It will be published on YouTube, I think, in a couple of weeks in. And now we are doing one step further. So we are introducing the same features, but from a more admin or partner perspective. This is just 1 hour, and you see that because most of the features which we introduced in Rollup 34 are either part of the platform or are out of the box implementation, so they work right away. But let's get started. Focus areas on these rollups are the recruiting portal login functionality for applicants. We had questions in the past if we could create potentially login functionality also for headhunter companies. We decided to go for applicants as it is more common, and we had a bigger demand from customer side on rather choosing and focusing on customer logins, or not customer, sorry, on applicant logins to give them the option to track the status of their application, as well as also save their data and come back later and then submit the application. We will take a look at the integration to Microsoft Dynamics 365 apps. For today, we are not doing a lot there, but I will show you the new mapping of it, as we believe it is quite important that you see the new mapping in here. And then least but not last, we take a look in improvements on the leave management. We have 50 minutes left, so let's get right into it. Starting with recruiting portal, and then we are going to integration, change patterns, change of work patterns, as well as carry forward processes. Yesterday I showed you 2 new flows there. I like today also show you how the business closure is actually rolled out manually for one individually, as we didn't do this on Wednesday. At the end, if I have time, I will read the solved customer tickets again, but no need if we don't have time because you have that many questions. Looking forward to them. On the recruiting problem, we created their own account. So applicants can now create their own account while they are submitting an application. What does happen on our end? We are using the functionality which given by the Power Apps portal themselves, meaning we are not creating an own login functionality or whatsoever. We are using the login functionality of the Power Apps portal, which is administrated in the contact entity. However, to comply with GDPR, we make sure that only 2 informations go from the applicants. So the applicant form, all fields, etc., everything which we have connected to the applicant, to the contact. We are doing this in that way for GDPR because we already have GDPR processes in place for applicant data. And Microsoft has GDPR processes in place for contacts because you have to do your little tick there when you're creating an account, a login to the Power Apps portal. And there we save only the mail address and the name. As it is a contact entity, it also means that if you're using on the same platform our solution as well as the CRM, your applicants will be in the same contact entity. In this case, we suggest that you create different views for contacts where an applicant is connected, they should go in a different view. Also, that those contacts will have one user, which is out of the box, that they have one owner, and this owner should be in an business unit no one else can see. Therefore, you also could make sure that no one else, a part of the recruiting administrator, sees that very contacts. Yeah. Even though it's just two fields and they separately agree with that. Okay. As usual, you can upload attachments as well as modify your data, create job history entry, education, update password. And during future applications, the data is pre-filled from the candidate's account. That's something I showed you last time. We will do this today again because I like to show you where exactly the contact is created and how we do it. And then we have entities and tabs are mapped to HR Hub. Therefore, data changes are synced in real time, meaning that we are mapping the online form for data changes, not to the contact, but to the applicant instead. And therefore, we also respect the GDPR consents. So it's time to apply again. Okay. This time I want to create a new user and become a customer success manager in DACH. Okay, it's really a good job. I encourage everyone to apply for this, even though it's a test system. And who shall we be today? We've been Bruce Willis. Let's be Michael Caine. Probably 60s. There you go. He is reachable by phone. Email address, we find a new one, mc9 at test.com. No private street there. Let's leave it open there. I think you all can agree on. So those are the two ticks. We continue processing that. While we are doing that, you are all aware that this is already an applicant form. So if I'm going to applicants, this is now or will now be created. Let's wait for Michael to come up. There he is. So Michael is here. Yeah. And Michael does have no contact connected yet. I will duplicate my tab and to show you that Michael right now has no contact. So I'm going list of employees, which is basically in this case also the contacts. So don't be confused by it. And we're going to all contacts and you will see that there is no Michael Caine yet. Yeah. So let's continue with the application. He can start as he's very young in 2027, December. That's a tight schedule till then. He will earn 99 cents. And in euro, he will also have an attachment there. And let's submit it. And let's hope this time it is faster than last time. Okay, last time it helped that I just refreshed it and submitted again. Okay, there we are. There we are. So now you have the option to create an account or do not create an account. I'm going now back in here to show you that the application is now created for Michael Caine. There he is. And also, if I'm going to the contact entity, that this will still not be created. There's still no contact connected. I have to create an account for this. So I click on please create an account. And it tells me, hey, thank you for the application there. So now I'm going back and see in the entity, if I'm go in, that there is now not only an application, but also a contact of Michael Caine. You see the email address, and I'm opening this up. You see nothing really is filled. There is no data in here. Completely empty contact, apart of the name and the email address. Yeah. And we see the invite from here. And open this quickly up. This is the email which gets sent to the applicant. We also suggest that you adapt it. For example, hide the link behind a button, enter the customer's CI in there. But this is just a workflow which is creating it, so this is easy for you to do and deal with.
This is not your URL, Olga. It's the wrong URL.
Which is the right one?
Let's copy paste it here. What you see here. Exactly.
Okay, thank you. And now you see the invitation code and you can click register. And once you click register, the redeeming code is up there. You can still see it. You can set your password. Let's set a password which is completely random and click register. Let's not save it because we will forget it in a minute. There you go. And now we are logged on. But we don't want to be logged on because I want to show you also that we are able to forget our password. So let's log out and let's try to log on again. So now I have to remember my email address, which was, let's go to the contact and copy it from here. But my password, I forgot. So what I'm doing is I'm just entering my email address. You know this from everywhere you or forgot your password somewhere. You enter your email address. That email address is unknown. I probably have something behind it. Alex?
Oh, sorry, I don't know.
All right, thank you. Okay. What I tried to fix this is Markus asked already a question in the chat and Vera answered, but maybe not all of you are looking in the chat. So he asked if a customer already has a heavy customized portal. Can they update to Rollup 34 or must they customer migrate to the new portal? Unfortunately, they have to migrate to the new portal and then move their customization, their CI, etc., over to the new portal base. This is actually easier than adding this functionality after that. So, Alex, how do I get out of here? So let's refresh it again, see if I got an email. Yep. I invited redemption from system, so we are invited. Let's try this again. Okay, we will investigate it. What was the expected behavior? The expected behavior was that we are now getting or now sending also an email again to that very email address, which is visible in the contact, which you can open and reset your new password so you can log on again. Yeah, good. Keep in mind, this is absolutely a test system, so errors like that, we are still working on Rollup 34 as it is RC status can happen as it is work in progress, which we are presenting right here. And this is also why we need you, our partners, to help support us to find this small minor bugs till the 9th of August that we can that we can really implement it. Okay. So I'm now logged on as Ricky Gervais, and I'm going to my personal details. So I'm in my personal details, and I like to show you that this is mapped not to the contact, but to the applicant instead. Doing so, I will change the birthplace for him, and the birthplace for him will be now Manchester. There we go, and I'm submitting it. So if I'm opening right now the application applicant of Ricky Gervais, there he is, and go down till I see the On the personal data, see the birthplace, I see Manchester. If I'm opening the contact or contacts of Ricky Gervais, I don't see this. So we actively adapted the standard functionality, which is linked to the contract of the portal and linked it directly with the applicant. Good. Let's move on. If you don't have other questions to this, then we are moving on, and I'd like to show you what we did in absence management. Yesterday, Vera showed you how it worked practically, how to enter a leave request on Dynamics 365 HR, and that the mappings got extended, and then a leave request on our end is created and auto-approved. Therefore, customers who are doing time bookings on our end will see if they are opening their daily summaries that the absence hours are filled. Therefore, we had to add some mappings. Let me open that mapping file, which every one of you will have access to. So this is now our mapping file, the new one. A lot of entities which we are mapping between both sides, you are very aware of. Make it a bit smaller, but not all of them. No. Let's run through it. You see in here the HR management for Dynamics 365 entities, so entities from our end, if you will, and the human resource core HR or talent or whatever name we are using there. This is the Rollup 34 mapping. We had different mappings in the past, but this is really the most extended one which we have. Here in the back, you are also able to see in which direction we map. For example, the department name you can change and create on both sides, and it will be mapped to the other direction. Good. So we are mapping departments, we are mapping job profiles, we are mapping positions, XRM1 employees, so employees, position assignments, the employee contracts. We are no longer mapping applicant and application, education, job history, and vacancy, because those are old and deprecated talent attract entities. So we removed it from this rollup, and we removed it actually from the integration of Rollup 33. If you still have a customer who has talent and therefore the old entities in the CDM, then please contact us. We can provide you with an older version of our mapping, and those older versions will contain exactly those entities. But usually our customers work with us in a way that they do, for example, recruiting on our end. So they are requesting a position on the D365 HR or on our end, and then they are creating job profiles and vacancy. The job profiles are synchronized to Dynamics 365 HR, and the vacancies are then published. New applications and applicants come in, and we decide for some and we hire them. And as soon as we hire them, we are creating an employee record on our end and a worker and employment on the Dynamics 365 end. So we have customers who do all of the recruiting part on our end, while working administrated and for absence management, etc., on Dynamics 365 HR. The new part is that we are now linking leave requests. So we have absence type settings and leave request map to the other side, to the leave request details, to the leave request itself, to the leave parameters, to the leave type, and leave absence parameters. And you see, not only because they are mapped, but some of them are mapped but not synchronized, and some are synchronized from the direction of Dynamics 365 to our end. And this is what Vera showed you, that if a leave request is approved in Dynamics 365 HR, it will also be approved on our end, created and approved on our end. And this is good and brilliant because it gives your customers the possibility that they are doing really the time tracking, including all the overtime calculation and configurations which we have there, including time accounts, etc., with our employee self-service. Work patterns. Work patterns, I showed you, we have a minor change with big effect. I showed it to you yesterday, no, on Wednesday, so I will not repeat it in here. Basically, you can say that while in the past you had the ability to choose which day of the week the work pattern was starting, but it was only the first week, meaning if you had a work pattern for several weeks and you started when you're creating a work pattern, you were able to choose when you assign that work pattern to an employee contract term, which day of the first week it starts. And now we adapted it because you now have the possibility to choose if it's either you continue with the old functionality, you can have an option set there and you can choose that. Or if you choose and put the numeric system behind it, meaning if you're having a work pattern which is quite long, and quite long meaning 5 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe even a year, and a new employee comes in, you're now having the possibility to choose, hey, I want to start at day 37 of the work pattern. So if someone is starting on the 1st of August, you look in your work pattern and see how is that matched to the others in that very work pattern group. That's quite important for production companies, which work night shift, day shifts, maybe even a rhythm. Quite usual is that you have 5 days a week shift, but it's moving every week. And maybe one week you have night shifts and one week you have a day shift and next week you have a morning shift and then it continues and so on. So you have the production workers dedicated to a certain group, and then you decide which group he is in and see, hey, he starts on a Wednesday, so it must be day 24 there. Hmm? Okay. The carried forward process. Yesterday I had a lot of questions to the training on Wednesday, actually, because some of you have been surprised that we removed the remaining days up here and only have the remaining days down here. First of all, you're in customizing always able to add this again. But what we are considering is that the remaining days of an individual entitlement, and think of an overtime absence type where you have sometimes hundreds of individual entitlements. You don't want that the customers go in there and start calculating them by themselves. And then go to the HR department. The HR department can't follow up and contacts you, and you have to calculate it. But instead, we enhance that the calculation behind it is that secure, stable, that we are always showing the days which are right now in here, meaning remaining. So if an entitlement gets booked out one day, the remaining overall is changing and you no longer have the option there to use it. I personally believe that the biggest and greatest change which we have is that we now show also the origin of the leave entitlement. You can see if the leave entitlement itself comes from an employment term, if it was manually added, and we also have other possibilities in there, like carried forward from last year. And daily summary as well as leave request. So if you are having your absence type setting set to create negative entitlement, it will also create a negative entitlement instead from deducting from one of the existing ones from here. And therefore, daily summary is also one option which you can get there and there. Also quite brilliant is the considered for transfer to next year, because you're now able to see, hey, how many of those entitlements have an end date of the last day of the year and are set to transfer to new period. So you see on one view how many days should be transferred. Also gives you the option to directly compare if the days which are carried forward from last year are the same amount than which is on the previous year inside the remaining consider for transfer. But it also gives the employees another option. Because customers do have regulations inside that, for example, they allow only 5 days to be carried forward. Absolutely possible. Then the employee itself sees a difference between what is remaining and what is considered for transfer, because not every entitlement will be considered for transfer. Extra special holidays, maybe the 5-day rule that only 5 days are considered for transfer. Then there will be an entitlement with 5 days and the rest. And here the employer will not allow to transfer those. If you mark them, there is another new feature. You are now also able to trigger an offset calculation manually. In the past, we had times where we implemented or installed our solution to a customer system who didn't had an offset calculation before. And even though we ask you to use a package deployer, there are incidents where the package deployer wasn't used and therefore they just imported the solution. And the package deployer itself is triggering the offset calculation. And the offset calculation, as you know, we introduced in Rollup 32 is quite important in order to calculate in between leave entitlements directly, so that the carried forward process at the end is easier, also to create a bigger and more efficient way on transferring at the end of the year, and be more efficient there. Therefore, we are offsetting entitlements directly. You're now able to trigger this manually, as we added a manual workflow for the offset calculation, and then they are offsetting. Also part, as we are triggering this, of the enhancement in absence management is something with the views. You noticed that the last view which you have is, or which you opened, is always the next one, or will save the view you had last open, and the next leave request you open will have the same view. Sometimes this gave us minor tickets, I would say. because some employees are also supervisors. And if you as a supervisor enter an employee request, you're just creating a new request. It goes to your supervisor, and he approves it. But you open it with an employee leave request view. The next time one of your employees is entering a leave request and you're the one who should approve it, you're opening that leave request and it's opening it in the employee leave request form. We got a lot of emails and tickets over the years which suggest, hey, the button to approve it, the drop-down list to approve it is gone. It's not there on the request field. This is now different as we are added a functionality which now, based on the security supervisor role, will direct the users directly to the supervisor form, meaning a supervisor who is not approving his own leave, who is not looking at his own leave request, not opening it, will be redirected to the supervisor form. Therefore, he will always see the approval field. It is a minor enhancement, but I think with a huge impact. Okay. You're knowing this change and move forward also from the functionality which we have on the supervisor file, where we are moving back and forth. As mentioned, we have the new considered for transferred field above the recalculation every time the figures of any leave entitlement change, meaning if the remaining is changing on the field of the considered for transfer will change. When the absence type does not carry forward, the field in the leave summary is empty. That's something I like to show you because that's something I stumbled upon is that if by any chance I have an overtime, and even though I will create a new leave entitlement, I will duplicate that tab right now because I like to show you what I mean first by going to the absence type settings. So I'm now on my way to the absence type settings. You see we have a new structure in here. So we have now headlines and everything in a more structured way, not only here, but also in the other apps. And let's open overtime. There it is. You see we have multiple fields in here, but the process carry forward is set to no. This is on purpose. In this case, you can change it by putting it self-maintained and put it to yes, but you don't have to. So if you're creating now a leave entitlement, let's say 1 hour, and you put process to remaining to transfer to a new period and the end date transfer to a new period, let's transfer it till November next year, and we click save. We are now having a leave entitlement, which is actually meeting that conditions because the end date is the last day of the absence period, as well as the process remaining is set to yes. The considered for transfer remains 0, even though we triggered that, and it's because of the process carried forward. So the whole absence type is not meant to be carried forward, therefore we keep it empty. To show you the other end, I will create another leave entitlement. So I switch it to yes. And now I will create an additional leave entitlement also for overtime. Let's set it to 1 and let's say process remaining and let's choose a date next year. There you go. There you go. And I will now save it. and suddenly you see minus 118. Why? Because we have created a new leaf entitlement and we changed the field. So now all of the entitlements which have or which meet the condition that they are transferred to or are supposed to be transferred to the new period, as well as having the last end date, are now calculated and taken into account. So you see in here everything on one glimpse. I wanted to show you the rollout of business closures for new employees. Let's quickly do this. Let's create a new business closure. There you go. It's under absences. Does make sense. Let's click new and give it a name. Let's say level 200 training. I think we all need some business closure after that. Let's choose today and hit save. So far, so good. And now we can add departments. Let's choose that one and hit add OK as well. Now it's there. We have some headcount in there. That's nice. We have some employees in there. It's also nice. So let's start the rollout by clicking up here. And now the request is completed. While the request is completing, I will create quickly a new employee. Let's say Peter. It's Pan, gender. Well, I don't know. Let's go HR. Admin. That's nothing you don't know. We are just filling all the required fields quite fast. Let's save it. We need to give him a work contract. That's also quite easy to do. So let's quickly jump there. I create a new employee term for him. Company template. And that's new. Let's start at the past. No company there. Great company, let's say. So, and now I'm putting some work hours behind it. And switch it to valid. So, Peter. Peter is now complete. And let's see on leave request. There's now a vacation entitlement, but nothing about the rollout. So I have a button up here, which is now called Rollout Business Closure. If I click it right now, it will tell me one thing. Please add a department first and start Rollup business closure again. That's right. I need a department in order to have a business closure ready. Elsewhere, it's not a business closure. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the department now and choosing one of the departments which we had, which is in this kind test 1. And let's save. And now I will be able to click on on that again, and it will tell me I forgot the primary work location. Oh, well, the easy stuff. But you see, we created all the error messages accordingly, and now the business closures are rolled out. Let's go to the leave request, and there it is. The leave request of 1 day, which is a business closure. And you also see in the absence calendar that everyone has it. So easy way now to add someone who is new in the company to the business closure. We did that on purpose because we had cases or use cases, user stories that we are not automatically roll them out once they have an employment term. Because we had cases where someone is starting 4 days before a business closure in a department, and then he went on business closure, and they didn't want this. Main reason because he worked then for 2 weeks in the other department till his department came back. So that was a decision by purpose. But you now have the chance to also roll out the business closure directly. Okay. Yesterday, Vera showed you that that we are now also able to do half and full day requests. It's also matches once in leave requests that we optimize the modify leave request there. The miscellaneous we had set employment terms, end date name of dialog was changed. So we changed the dialog and removed the calendar from all views and calendar entity. We renamed the fields in skill. We required grade, actually grade, and self-rating is now. And we have some other names. So renamed field, SIG certificate received is now documents received to make it more generous, because not every, well, leave request which we are checking for SIG certificate in the past was really a sickness. The redirection of the leave request I mentioned already. The comment field can be modified from the substitute. Yeah, in the past the substitute couldn't modify the comment in the leave request. He's now able to add a comment. For example, yeah, that's all right, but I'm sharing my duties of substituting him with XY, for example. I have an absence type gets locked after going out of draft or inactive. We had options where you could, even if the business process flow was finished, you could change the absence type, and the substitute decision is locked when it contains data. Good. The product tickets, I don't think we need to go through them again, but I like to focus you really, we need your feedback. Everything you saw today, everything which is inside the release notes, everything we saw on Wednesday, please install it to your system, to your customer test system, test it, check it, do and give us feedback. Every feedback we get, we can improve our solution for the final release of Rollup 34, and we want to, I think we have all that in common, the best possible solution for Rollup 34, and therefore we ask for your feedback. Please direct it to rolluptickets@hubdrive.com as well, and it would be very kind if you also could add August Hoxha at Hub Drive as well in there. Not least, we have cases where things like ideas entered our support system, and they were lying around, and the support isn't the right track for us, but we like to have your ideas. We really like to have your ideas, and also we like to give you feedback if something which you saw or think should be standard to our product will be on the roadmap. If not, we can put it on the roadmap, see if other customers and partners like that as well. So if you have any ideas, any improvements you like to have in our solution, please tell product ideas at hubdrive.com. Do you have any questions, anything you'd like to go in? If not, I have one question I wrote down because I got it during time, which was if the licenses of the portals are implicated by the login credentials. So the portal license is based on views. Usually have 100,000 views a month inside of the portal licenses. Of course, if you have a login functionality, there are a couple of more views for an individual user, but they are not that many, meaning, hey, they might log on twice instead of submitting the application in the first draft. Overall, this is really a small number of views, and I think everyone can benefit from this.
That's a good question. So what is the date for the final Rollup 34?
Yeah. Yeah, don't have it in my head. But we get it. Small minute. Rollup 34 Orga. It is planned to publish it in week 37. Possible earlier. So September it is.
Yeah, mid-September.
Okay. Seems like there are no other questions. Well, then I like to thank Vera very much for supporting me in this training, as well as preparing all of the trainings for the Rollup 34. I appreciate it. Special thanks go also out to the whole R&D department who prepared this roll-up and also gave us a training so that we can give you a training and introduce you to the Rollup 34. Thank you guys. Also, you supported me doing this training and us doing this training itself, writing messages, finding some improvements here and there, which we can show. And we really like to show your work, what you're doing in order to make well, our solution better and our partners and customer lives easier. Really like it. Thank you. Friday morning, I hope you have a great Friday and an even better weekend, and hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Holger, likewise.